So what is the subject this week?
It's a kind of a free-for-all, so there's like basically several different topics that I know we all probably want to touch on.
Right,
so I don't have a specific one in mind, because I think if I did any specific one, it'd only last about 10 minutes.
Let's get the opening and get this started.
We've already opened. We're opening.
All right, welcome to Three's a Podcast. My name is Pablubski.
I'm the James.
Evan.
Hashtag Evan Rada. Wait, let me reset that. You're right. I'm not supposed to do that, am I?
I don't care. If y'all want to do it, that's fine. So if you start, I will follow after you. I will.
Let me ask you this. Let me tell you what Ty did at the restaurant today. We got mozzarella sticks, and Ty got macaroni with chicken in it.
Mm-hmm. The 4 cheese, whatever, yeah.
Yeah. And then when we were done with the mozzarella stick, he said, "Are you guys going to use that marinara?" And he dumped the marinara into his chicken and macaroni and started swirling it around and eating it and moaning as he ate it. Now, then the waitress comes over. "Do you guys need anything?" And he goes, "Actually, can I get some hot sauce?" She was like, hot sauce? And he was like, "Yeah, do you have any hot sauce?" She was like, "We have Tabasco, that's about it, and then like steak sauce and stuff." And he goes, "Yeah, that won't do." And then she said, and it's like, she's like, "We have like the buffalo sauce, like from the wings, we could like scrape." Okay, she didn't say we could scrape it off the wings, but she said we could put it in a little thing for you if you need that, Your Highness. And you said, she didn't say Your Highness, but then he was like, "Oh, that would be fantastic. Can you do that?" So she comes back in a little bit with this little, and you could tell she was irritated at buffalo sauce. And then he just starts drinking the buffalo sauce and pouring it into his mac and cheese, which is mostly eaten.
Did you give her a good tip?
No, that's the best part of all. His total was $17.26, and he put $40 on the thing. So me and Eric were like, okay, Ty was being difficult, and he paid it off the waitress. And he goes, "Wait, what?" And he was like, "I didn't mean to do that. Oh God, I hope she brings that back." And then she brings back, and she assumes it's just like, I noticed this was a mistake, $20 or whatever. And he was like, "Yes, it was a mistake." And he grabbed all the money and put it in his wallet.
She did not say that. The last part is not true. She just handed me the thing, and I saw that the 20 was there, and I was like, "Oh."
And he let out an audible relief when he saw the $20 bill. Like, oh, thank God. Oh, I would never give a tip that big. And
I have before, yeah, but right now I don't have 2 jobs. Back then I did have 2 jobs, and I would give 50 to 100% tips.
Ty, you need a tip big if you're gonna be pulling that shit with people.
All right, but anyway, that was the day.
It was.
So it kind of actually reminds me a little bit of. We all went and saw Joker.
Yeah. The buffalo sauce reminds you of Joker?
Yeah, it's like red, and he wears red lipstick.
Why was he drinking the hot sauce?
I was not drinking the hot sauce.
You drank the fucking hot sauce.
No, I really
You drank that hot sauce.
I did not, no.
What do you consider it then? You put it on your food and you consumed it.
It's not drinking it. Drinking it is taking it from that little bowl that was in and just
So if I got a
hot
spoon
yeah,
and dipped it in my ice water and slurped it, is that considered eating or drinking?
That's an interesting conversation, actually.
Yeah.
That'll be next week's podcast.
Well, what about soup? Soup, though. Do you ever actually eat soup?
You're right. You eat soup. That's what they call it.
I think it's just...
You got me on this one, but watch your ass.
But I didn't take it from the can and then start
You
doing
didn't?
it. No. I promise I did not. I poured it immediately on my mac and cheese.
Is this...
Every fucking outing.
I feel like we're doing bro show right now.
Yeah. Well, every fucking outing with this guy, I'm not supposed to curse. Every flipping outing with this guy is an adventure. I'll say that. He started asking about. He started saying he wanted to rub the painting on the wall.
No.
And Eric had out this.
What? You want to rub the wall on the wall?
I wanted to touch the painting.
And Eric had to tell him that it was weird and impolite.
And I was asking why it was impolite.
They had this fucking 15-minute long conversation why you don't go to other people's houses and start rubbing caressing their paintings.
You do.
And then I said, well, it is an Applebee's. I think they have a lot lower standards. It's not an art museum.
So my whole thing is that if you see something weird on the wall, there's sometimes an expectation that someone is going to pick it up because of the way it looks. So basically, the painting was not a regular painting. If it was, I would not have touched the painting because there's no reason to touch the painting, right? It looked like someone had taken wooden siding and then either painted over it. I think we now know what happened. So someone took the wooden siding and then placed, what did you say, vinyl? Like placed the vinyl painting and somehow made it to where it was like fit in like to all the grooves. And so it was a really neat design with the painting. My whole thing was, is it wood or is it metal? Because Eric was like, he was wondering if it was
I
wood.
finally rubbed it.
Yeah, he finally rubbed it.
So you're the one that did it?
I was close to it because we were in the booth and he was to the left.
Yeah. So
also,
he was
that
closest to the
Applebee's
painting.
bathroom was insane. We both peed at the same time. I don't know what your urinal was like. But mine was just...
Mine was the regular, like... It wasn't a urinal.
Mine looked like a woolly willy that someone hadn't shaved clean yet. There was weird specks all over it that I couldn't identify. The bathroom cake had lost its scent about probably 15 years ago, honestly.
Does anybody here realize their age? You guys had a 15-year argument about a painting, and then you're the one that touches it.
It was scientific. I was looking at it for artistic reasonings. He wanted to touch it for autistic reasonings. And there's a difference.
Everybody here.
I wanted to touch it to figure out if it was wood or metal. That's it.
Okay. Let's get to the fucking episode. I was going to call this mass laundry list because it's just a list of things that we haven't been able to talk about on the podcast since we've been cold for the last few months since you moved here. So the first thing off the bat, we all saw Joker Saturday.
Absolutely.
What did you think about it?
Good movie.
You said best of the year, you think?
Probably the best.
What else came out this year is what I'm trying to think. I haven't watched a lot of movies this year.
I haven't either.
So I can't really talk too much.
Endgame?
Oh, Endgame.
The big one?
Yeah, Endgame. Any Marvel movies.
Close second.
Far From Home and stuff, yeah. But as far as like best movie, like a really good film where it's like, oh, I went and watched like a piece of art as a film, I thought. I hate saying that because it sounds so fucking pretentious. But Joker, it just really was like very cinematic. It was like the definition of like, it reminded you of an old film from the 70s or 80s.
Yeah, I think my problem was the theater that we were in was very
shitty. Just say it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It was very bad.
Okay.
I wish I had gone to like AMC or even the Warren and saw it in there. I was also very, very off. But the movie, was very artistic. But it doesn't mean that I necessarily enjoyed it.
Oh, great. Here we go.
So,
we had a conversation about this earlier.
My issue, or the thing that I was like having a problem with, is that it was kind of like slow, I guess. Which is, for me, it's something that I'm trying to get myself used to, is watching slow movies.
Well, you don't have to. Here's the fair thing. Here's the thing about it. It's like me and Evan could be assholes and be like, why don't you go fucking watch
The Lord of the Rings?
No, I was gonna say like, go watch the stupid Avengers movies or something. That you just don't understand fine art or something. But it's like, look, if you're not interested in slower films, that's fine.
The thing is,
But you'd have to be like You'd have to be like, okay, I just don't like slower films. I don't know that you could say that's a criticism for the film, because I think that's exactly what the film was trying to do, was it be slow paced.
Right.
It's his slow descent into madness.
Right, and that's why I say it is a piece of art. It's just not like it's something I'm trying to get accustomed to. So it's like drinking wine. It's
Well, my thing would be saying that you
It's
don't
impressive
have to.
take.
Why do you feel like you have to acclimate to it? Why don't you just be like, I didn't like that movie?
Because it's a good film and it is a piece of art. And
That you don't
want to I want to learn how to enjoy it.
That's so weird. That's such a weird way of approaching it.
Well, I mean,
I don't mean that as a criticism. It's just strange. Like, why wouldn't you just be like, I don't like the movie?
I guess he's expanding his taste.
Yeah.
I guess so, but I can't necessarily blame him for that.
I mean, because you have The Godfather, one of the greatest movies of all time, and it's a fairly slow-paced film.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But do you feel like you have to acclimate?
Acclimate?
I don't know why I keep using that word. Anyway, but any other criticisms of it?
No. Not really.
The
I
acting.
can't-
What
I
was
thought-
there was some other point you said, I thought, that you didn't like.
No,
was it that
no.
it was slow? That was the only thing you said?
Yeah, that was basically it. The thing we got into earlier was about the media,
That's what it was, yeah.
and I said I can understand why a little bit that they might be concerned, because I said that there was a scene that seemed to romanticize the violence.
What
But it was-
scene exactly?
I can't remember.
Okay. But just something that made it...
Yeah,
appealing or something.
it actually may have been the scene with where he kills the big guy. It was either that scene or because I guess that's the only time. Wasn't
Just in
there
case,
like 4
I guess we
killings
should
or
say
something
spoiler
like that?
alert just in case, but...
Yeah. Spoiler alert.
Well, yeah,
because he kills 3 guys on
in the subway.
on the subway, and then
Well,
what?
this could actually be great
Who else
because
did he kill?
Evan could kind of be the mediator here and see if he can find a little middle ground, because I don't know if it's necessarily an argument, but we had this conversation where he was saying he actually understands why people might be concerned that the movie is romanticizing violence or making it seem like a positive thing. Is that fair? Because I was saying I think that you could. Well, what was your case?
Not necessarily making it a positive thing, but the whole thing about the movie was that what we say it was getting people to commit violent crimes or whatever or something like that. Correct?
That was what was in the media for the past week or two.
Right. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so based on that, yes, I could understand why they could be concerned. So
Yeah.
it was like the 13 reasons why. I don't know if you know, but the suicide rate like jumped up.
They
during the time
they
of
don't know
film.
that that's necessarily correlating from the show, but I did notice that. I did see those statistics.
Okay, right.
And it is a little bit weirdly coincidental.
Yes.
And that could be the idea that people romanticize suicide. The only thing I would wonder...
Well, they said that the show
romanticized
suicide. Yes.
I wonder, though, people seem to just do that more anyway. And I wonder if...
That is a good point. However, the book of the same name, actually the same thing.
Right.
The same exact thing happened. So,
my counterpoint, Evan, was that I think you could say that about any movie. You could say that about any villain in any movie. The movie never said, hey, he killed all these people and it's a good thing and death and murder is positive. It never did. All the movie is just following a guy's descent into mental health. He clearly has mental health issues. It's more of a commentary on mental health than anything.
right.
And my thing was like, okay, well, then you shouldn't watch any movie with any killers. Like, we shouldn't watch any of these crime shows with Ted Bundy that millions of Americans watch every day. You could make that case about anything. Because I was saying the media perpetrated those comments originally and then kept stacking onto their initial thing. Because they're like, this is my opinion on it. Which, by the way, like I said, I understand I actually can see what they were doing with the relation to him as, like, relating him to, like, incels or whatever. People who are like-minded who might shoot up places.
Right.
But my whole point was that the media originally did that. They're like, oh, doesn't he remind you of this? Isn't the shooter, is he inspiring, like, young white men
Right.
to, like, shoot up stuff? It's like they initially said that. No one else said it.
Right.
And then after they said that, they kept kind of doubling down. It kept getting worse. It's like, are the theaters going to be shot up because of Joker? It's like eventually they created a news cycle
Right.
that didn't exist,
Right.
and no thing got shot up. And if it did get shot up, my contention is that it would be the media's fault
Yeah.
because
and
they perpetrated the whole thing.
I would agree because I don't think half the people actually watched the film.
Oh yeah.
So
I was talking to someone about it yesterday, and I was like, "Oh yeah, it was one of the best movies of the year.
Yeah.
You should go see it." And I was like, "Just ignore any media," and they were like, "Too late," and they acted like this weird negative attitude about it, like they didn't want to
Yeah.
watch it. And I was like,
you haven't even seen it.
"People, but this is the reason why it pisses me off is this is the ultimate example of people being more. It's like we've gotten to this point where it's not about the things anymore; it's about the talk about the things."
Mhm.
So like all these, no one goes and sees this movie, and then they all have this they already have a comment about it.
Yeah.
And then you look at the movie, it's like look at all the fucking media off it, where it's like Scorsese said that Marvel movies aren't true cinema.
Mhm.
Oh, Robert Downey Jr. Replied to Scorsese and all the shit. It's like no one even watches the original clips or anything; they just read the articles about it.
Yeah.
It's like all this buzz, and it's like a good movie came out, a good piece of art, and you should just be able to go and enjoy it. And why does the conversation always end up being like these big controversial things? That's what's frustrating to me is people can't just enjoy things and just go and
Yeah.
be individuals. We're
Right.
so caught up in the collectivist shit
Mhm.
that everyone has to be like read a million articles before they have an opinion.
Mhm.
Instead of just being able to say, Jesus Christ, no tax. No one's able to say, no one can just go like, oh, here's a good looking movie, I'm going to go watch it. Like,
Right.
oh, I enjoyed that movie and I have my own opinion about it.
Yeah.
It's like everything is based on people cycling through all these articles and then
Mhm.
having their interpretation of it. Anyway, that's my piece about the movie that's frustrating.
I don't
Right.
understand why they went with that argument either. A better argument would be that it romanticizes maybe mental health issues,
Right.
you know, but everybody looks at the product, which would be the violence.
Mhm.
They don't look at the issue of, you know, he's going through this mental health crisis. You know, he's having a mental health crisis at the
Mhm.
beginning of the movie, and it manifests into violence.
Right. Okay.
You know, and I mean, but the Joker has always been a mentally ill character, and people have related that to him, and I mean, a lot of his bigger fans are like, "Yeah, it's great, it's crazy."
Mm.
So to say the movie did that, no, the movie just delved into that more. You know, because the Joker as a character has always been that kind of person.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a good point that the movie doesn't. The movie doesn't romanticize violence. If it romanticizes anything, I would agree that it actually romanticizes mental health.
Mental.
But I don't think it's intentionally doing it because, like I said, the movie never paints a positive picture about it.
Right.
It's never like, hey, like mental health is cool or something. I actually would hope, the thing that irritates me about it is that instead of the movie opening up a conversation about mental health, the movie ended up opening a conversation about shootings again. We've been talking about shootings forever. Why don't we talk about mental health? But I know the people who actually do romanticize Joker and stuff. I mean, you remember even Suicide Squad came out, and all the time I see like, it's usually the same type of people who, and women a lot, who perpetuate these ideas that like that's like their relationship goals, and they always
Yeah.
share memes of
Oh,
like
Joker
Joker
and
and Harley
Harley
Quinn,
Yeah.
which is
Abusive as hell.
the worst model of a relationship you can possibly have. It's not a relationship.
Yeah,
Right.
he's an
He
abusive
uses her as a
asshole.
pawn,
Mhm.
and she's got whatever that syndrome is where you fall in love with the Sidon,
yeah.
whatever. it's called.
Stockholm.
Stockholm
Oh, stop.
syndrome.
Well, that's captor, but she fell in love with her patient. Can't remember what it's called. Something like the fallen nightingale syndrome or something like that.
I think that's it.
Nightingale. Yeah. So anyway,
Wow.
people romanticize that all the time, and it was shocking to me.
Yeah.
People were like, I mean, the way people would take that,
Mhm.
and I'm like, well, you're out of your mind. Maybe they don't understand the character, but people are fucked up.
Mhm.
And so they do want to relate to something where it's like, oh, I'm fucked up, and this relationship's fucked up,
Yep.
and they find a way of like seeing Harley Quinn and Joker and be like, oh, I can relate to that because my Joker beats me every night. I'm sorry, that was fucked up, but I didn't mean it in any way, but it's really is true though because they do find a way of doing it. So my whole thing on that, I think Evan's right that there is, if anything, it maybe romanticizes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying more that's a better argument, not that it does.
Right.
Well, yeah, I guess that would be a better, a better argument. I would say that it's, even though like I felt that scene had romanticized the killing, it's still very. I said tone deaf. And the reason I say that is because it doesn't. The movie asks you to make the decision about whether what he's doing is right or wrong. It doesn't, doesn't add that like music or anything to kind of help you with that, or
Well, I don't think you should have to have a huge debate morally about what he's.
right. But usually, you can just kind of.
You're saying the movie doesn't hold your hand as far as making a really, really direct point. I think when you say tone deaf, to some people that would mean the movie seemed directionless or something. But
it's not directionless.
Yeah.
It's like watching, it's like watching The Black Klansman. Have you seen that?
I haven't. I want to. It looks good.
Okay, that movie is very. It's not necessarily tone deaf, but the tones shift like very abruptly.
Well,
like
maybe you're using the wrong phrase because you keep saying.
I might be.
Well, when you say tone deaf, this is what I think you mean.
Yeah.
Is that the movie is.
Very
like, if you're talking about a person being tone deaf, it means they do not understand the circumstances.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So most of the time someone says someone's tone deaf is like someone is talking in a way like they clearly don't understand the details or the situation.
Okay.
And so they don't get it. Like if I were making really obnoxious jokes at a funeral, like, that guy's fucking tone deaf because I don't understand the atmosphere of the situation. So when you're talking about the movie, that's why it's confusing to me because I've never heard someone use that terminology. But what...
Maybe it's like very neutral in tone or like...
Well, you mean like the movie's not pointing at a direct thing?
You know how The Dark Knight has like this very like dark tone to it. It's very depressing and stuff like that.
Yeah, I felt like the movie had a consistent tone, but that
as far as
feel, yeah, I thought it had a consistent tone. But maybe I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, it's it's depressing and it keeps getting worse.
Yeah,
that's the whole movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. It does keep getting worse as far as that. Yeah, I'll have to. I guess the better way to say that it doesn't like hold your hand. So I'll go.
Well, I was thinking about it. I was like, I love the movie, but when I really think about it, I have a hard time explaining why. And I don't mean that there. I'm not saying there isn't a reason that I like it. But it is a movie where it really is a lot to take in, and it's hard for me to understand what exactly I loved about it. And usually that's a good sign for me when I really like something or enjoy a movie or music or something. It takes a while for me to explain why. That's usually a good sign, but I might be one I'll have to watch again. Because I honestly right now I don't know if I could explain to someone why it was such a good film.
Right.
I could say like the cinematography and the acting was really good and stuff like that. But as far as why it like in a profound way kind of touched me,
I
don't know why.
I wouldn't say that I know why as well.
Wouldn't be a good episode without a Catholic joke.
I did like the where he was on TV and he was talking about thinking that things are funny, that the killings were funny. So yeah. Oh yeah, that was great. I thought
that was one of the best lines in the movie. Where it was like, "I thought my life was a tragedy, and now I realize it's a comedy." And then he, spoiler alert, but he just starts suffocating his mom. That was a great scene.
That was hard.
I'm not saying that in a comical way. I mean, it was just such a great line and a great scene. He just says that and then chokes his mom out.
Yeah. See, that was one of those things for me. I thought that it was either answering the question for the audience at the same time he was realizing that either his mom just lied to him and said that he really was adopted, and after he found out, he was really pissed.
Alright, so what else we got for us?
Okay, I wanted to talk about this. Did you guys hear about this dwarf? This 22-year-old dwarf that was living with a family as a 6-year-old daughter?
I saw something about it. I didn't really look into it.
So, it's such a roller coaster ride of a story. It's such a long story, but I read through it. It's like the movie Orphan, almost to a T.
Oh, okay.
So this nice Christian couple adopts a young Russian girl who was supposed to be 6 years old,
Right.
right? And then they realized something was wrong. The way the kid was talking sometimes. Like first she didn't. First of all, they were like, okay, they tried to get someone who spoke the native language.
Right.
How do I mute this? They were trying to get someone who spoke whatever language it would be. I guess Russian.
Mm-hmm.
And she didn't speak it. So then they're like, that's weird. Like, which I'm trying to figure out. I guess we'll get into the details in a minute. I'll just give you an overcast of the story. What happened was the daughter. First of all, she started saying things. Like, so for instance, the mom ran a daycare for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And she said at one point the daughter was just sitting there and she like kind of had her legs crossed and was like drinking tea or something. And she's like, I just don't see how you do it. I don't know how you deal with these kids. Like, started talking like an adult. And the mom's like, what the fuck? Why are you talking like that, basically? Because it was supposed to be a 6-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
Then the shit hit the fan when she gave her first bath and realized she had pubic hair, which is not normal for a 6-year-old. But then they started finding bloody laundry that seemed to be hidden from the girl, and they figured out that she was having her period. So she clearly was post-pubescent or whatever. So then they had her checked out at a place or whatever, and they figured out that maybe her age was something like 14 or something like that.
What the heck?
They knew she had dwarfism when they adopted her. So, but they just thought it was a child with dwarfism. And then they figure out that she's probably like, a teenager because of the fact that because of the pubic stuff.
Right.
The little it's so hard to not be derogatory talking about it, but the little bitch, she started trying to fucking kill them. And I want to find it where some of the shit she would say. Oh, she also started rubbing her menstrual blood on the mirrors in the house and shit, just rubbing it on the walls. Usually a 6-year-old's like, you have to stop them because they're writing with crowns on the wall. Can you imagine?
Isn't the new meaning of the term finger paint?
Oh! Christine Barnett, the mom. By the way, the mom, I don't know what the results are now, but she was being held. Because this whole thing took off whenever she got charged, her and the father got charged for child abandonment.
Yeah, okay.
And she was being held, and then her defense was, that's no child. That's a 22-year-old monster who keeps trying to kill us. And so it says that she tried pushing her into an electric fence, like dragging her into it.
What?
Poured bleach into her coffee and threatened to stab them in their sleep. She would just tell the family all the time that she was going to kill them in their sleep.
Wow.
It's horrifying. She was 3 foot tall and couldn't walk correctly. Yeah, so the parents got incarcerated. Is that the right word? She was standing over people in the middle of the night. This gave me chills when I was reading this shit. I was reading it in the middle of the night. She was standing over people in the middle of the night. You couldn't go to sleep. We had to hide all the sharp objects. I saw her putting chemicals, bleach or Windex or something like that in my coffee, and I asked her, what are you doing? She said, I'm trying to poison you.
What the heck?
The media, this is the mom, the media is painting me to be a child abuser, but there is no child here. Natalie was a woman. She had periods. She had adult teeth. She never grew a single inch, which would happen even for a child dwarf. The doctors all confirmed she was suffering a severe psychological illness, only diagnosed in adults. She was jumping out of moving cars. She was smearing blood on mirrors. She was doing things you could never imagine a child doing. So,
damn.
I'll find some more details here, but I'm just wondering what you guys think of this, because when I first read it, it really creeped me the hell out. Because that means she was acting like a 6-year-old. She would act like a kid for most
I know,
of the
yeah,
time.
yeah.
Until they figured out that she was, when they got her checked out and figured out she must be older.
So she was self-aware and she was just acting the whole time.
Yeah, there's pictures. Oh my god.
You gotta send me that.
Oh, I'll send you the link.
article.
You gotta read the whole article. I recommend everyone does, because it's really like one of the best articles recently. So then what happened was, they figured out she must be an adult. After they got evaluated again or something, they figured out she must be an adult. So they like leased her an apartment, And I guess she like trashed the apartment or something and went crazy. And then they leased her another apartment. And then they moved to like Canada or something.
Yeah.
But they leased her an apartment. They were trying to help her get her GED and go to school and stuff. The mom tried to go to the apartment or something to visit her at one point and said that she found a little kid's pink tricycle parked. I know it sounds like I'm making this up, but it was like in the driveway or something, and then there's like little girl dresses around. And at one point, the mom called her or something's like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "I'm cooking dinner for my family." And I guess she's been doing this. She started doing it again. Some other family. Like, she... Isn't that creepy? This little dwarf girl is going around. I'm surprised she hasn't murdered anyone yet. So that's the defense. And the story is way too compelling from the mom to think that anything else had happened. Oh my God. Okay. When they took Natalie... Oh, I'm going to miss it. There's another good bit here. Okay, they were at the beach somewhere on vacation or something, and the boys rushed into the water, and Natalie wanted to be carried into the ocean. Michael and myself were physically exhausted, so we asked her to wait just a few minutes. With that, she just got up and ran into the ocean. Oh, that was the thing. She apparently couldn't walk before that. But all of a sudden, she gets up and just runs. So they're like, what the fuck is happening? Like, what is up with this little girl? Natalie shunned dolls and toys, had the vocabulary, used sophisticated vocabulary beyond her age.
Damn.
What's weird is, there's this other kid, one of their other sons is a genius.
Really?
Yeah, and he has a book, he's part of a book called The Spark. And I guess it's like, and it was Christine Barnett, the mom, wrote the book about her son, who was like some kind of crazy genius or something, like really smart kid.
Yeah.
So they were actually on 60 Minutes while they had her as an adopted daughter, and she's actually there in one of the videos in the background.
Are you?
And they didn't know. They didn't know yet that she was a psycho killer. But everything to me adds up to where it doesn't make any sense that I think she's telling the truth.
The mom. You think that the mom is telling the truth?
They had a video baby monitor, and they were watching the video. And when they left the room, she started attacking their like baby.
Oh my gosh.
Barnett claims she tried to drag her into an electric fence during a birthday outing. Now that one, I don't know how that's possible, because if you see this little girl, she's like 3 feet tall.
3 feet tall.
She's like 3 feet tall. It doesn't make sense she could drag her into a thing.
Are dwarfs like? Aren't they like a little bit stronger or?
Dwarf strength? You've been watching too much Lord of the Rings.
No, not dwarfs. Not dwarf.
They don't have
strength.
special dwarf strength, do they?
Well, you have this. You have like the strength of an adult person condensed to like a smaller body. I've heard this from my dad.
Is this true? Because this sounds like
I was gonna
offensive.
say because wouldn't their like muscles be like kind of maybe a little bit like tighter or something like
Well,
that?
my dad knew a midget
meteor
in high
as
school,
well.
and he saw him kick some people's asses.
That actually...
Catch him by surprise.
You know what? My friend Trevor had a story about that. When he was a kid, he was getting picked on, and him and this midget kid were getting picked. This little person was getting picked on, and I guess by a bunch of people, they were like throwing dodgeballs at him or something, and he raged out and just started kicking all of their asses. So maybe there is dwarf strength.
Dwarf strength.
We got to get one to call in and tell us. Well, we'll get a call on the code. We'll get an update for you guys later if there is dwarf strength. Send us an email.
Yeah. Hey, Peter Dinklage. Yeah. Let us know.
What's our email?
Our email. I can't even remember whether our.
We'll put it on. We'll put it in a link below.
You
If
know
you guys
what?
Yeah, we will.
Screw it. Just hit me up at ratacoaching@yahoo.com, and I'll make sure it gets through to the.
Okay, yeah. We gotta know. Let us know. Anyone who's an expert on dwarfism or anything, hit us up because we do want to know about this crazy dwarf strength.
Yeah, we actually do. We're being serious.
I also want to know a little bit about tard strength. That's something
No,
What's a tard?
Retard strength.
Are they actually stronger?
I mean, I've never tried to fight a retarded
okay.
person, but I've heard that they can, yeah.
That's interesting. That's so cool.
Do you think it's a neurological? No, seriously though, without being offensive, like someone who has like some mental condition like that, and their brain has some kind of disconnects and stuff. Maybe they
come in that problems all the time. I should have just asked.
Maybe it allows them to use more of their muscle strength because your brain actually has an inhibitor.
right, so you don't hurt
yourself.
yourself. Yeah, so maybe you can go full strength. It's like when a mom. Think about when a mom's in a really stressful situation. The whole lifting the car off a kid, right?
Maybe
You know
it's,
that old thing.
maybe it's like the real life equivalent of a Super Saiyan, right? Like that inhibitor goes, and you're just like your strength, increases, but they
What
live
would it
that
be
all
called?
the time. It'd be called adrenaline, I guess, but
Oh,
Really?
I thought you'd say like Soup Turd Saiyan or something.
no. No, it's just that they can live in that state all the time because their mind doesn't have that inhibitor. That's why they punch holes in walls all the time.
Wait. Okay.
No, but the kid. What I was saying was the strength. You know what I'm talking about? Like in certain situations, people have like immense strength. They're like lifting a car off.
adrenaline. Yeah.
Because of adrenaline or whatever else. But it just shows that the body has the capacity to do it.
To do that, but for whatever reason, we haven't unlocked.
I
our
jumped a
full
fence one time when I was running from a
true
dog.
brains potential.
Like, I didn't clear, okay? I'm going to be completely clear. I didn't clear an 8-foot fence, but I got myself over that fence faster than I've ever jumped a fence.
Was this a pit bull? Was this the one that killed...
This is the
To
one
follow up from last episode, was this the one that killed Rufus?
This is the one that killed Rufus number 2, yeah. I was in a neighbor's yard, and it cleared the fucking fence. I had never seen anything like it. It just, like, soared over the fence and landed and came straight for me. So I just went over yeah.
My God.
Yeah, but there's like a whole
Beefy
8-month
dog.
like struggle that happened with that dog. But
Well, okay, so next on the laundry list, I'm sure you guys know the Shane Gillis incident, but I was kind of interested to hear your opinions on it.
What's a Shane Gillis?
Who is this Shane Gillis? That's clearly a name. That's clearly a fucking name.
It sounds like a black guy, first of all.
Nope.
He's white. Wow. Okay.
No, why do you assume he's white just because he's not black?
Well,
Actually, that's the best odds. Yeah. No, Shane Gillis, you thought that was a black name?
I don't ever.
I've never heard of a black man named Shane.
Shane? Yeah. Well, I
It's
guess
kind of a southern name, isn't it? Shane Gillis.
Shane Gillis.
So what happened was the new season of SNL started recently, but this is a couple months old, so people might have heard this, but I just would want to see your guys' opinions on it.
Mm-hmm.
Because you might have different ones. I'll just lay it out for you. Basically, this guy, Shane Gillis, he's a comedian, been a comedian for years. He got hired as a new cast member on SNL. And what happened was someone dug up these old videos of him on a podcast where he's saying, and I'm just quoting, but he was making a lot of racial jokes about Asians specifically, and he says chink a lot. I think he specifically used the term Jew chink, which I'd not heard before.
What's a Jew chink?
it would be an Asian that practices the religion of Judaism.
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense. Thank you.
That's the most unoffensive way I can say that.
So anyway, yeah, so he uses that word a lot in the thing, so the context of it is that I think he was on Legion of Skanks, which is a podcast that is deliberately like offensive and uproarious. So it's like it's kind of meant to be that way. I don't think it's hard to feel like the way he was saying it was so liberal, and it was like it wasn't even properly like in a joke. Like I think everyone agrees it was kind of bad, like kind of awkward and bad timing, and he shouldn't have said it. The thing is, it was that podcast was like years old. I don't know if it was 10 years old or if it was somewhere around that, but it was a really old podcast. And so SNL instantly fired him when these videos came up.
Oh my god.
So they literally hired him. The season didn't even start, and then they fired him before the show even started. You know, and so he made this apology letter. Maybe I can pull it up here.
That has got to be the most retarded thing I've
Don't
heard.
use the R word. You might get fired from this show. No, but yeah, no. What? So let me get the. Sorry, I thought I had this booted up earlier. All right. Of course, they got to give you a whole backstory, and I just want to see
The article. Or the apology itself, yeah.
Why do they do this?
Mm.
You click on an article, it doesn't even have the actual apology. It just has the people talking about it.
That always happens. Either way, though, that's really messed up because a lot of people have had that happen and have almost risked,
Getting fired?
Yeah.
Well, he's a comedian. And we've talked about this many times. If, let's say, one of us got famous and we get hired on SNL or something, all you'd have to do is dig up one of our podcasts, Bro Show, Versus the World, like anything, any videos I've done on my channel, and be like, oh, that's offensive.
Yeah.
Sorry, my mother texted me.
Okay, so this is what he said. I'm a comedian who pushes boundaries. I sometimes miss. If you go through my 10 years of comedy, most of it bad, you're going to find a lot of bad misses. I'm happy to apologize to anyone who's actually offended by anything I've said. My intention is never to hurt anyone, but I'm trying to be the best comedian I can be, and sometimes that requires risks. So anyway, that's his thing. But I'm just wondering, what do you think of that? Do you think it was justified that they fired him over the videos? Do you think
it was not justified at all? No, and he shouldn't have apologized. He should have just gave him the middle finger.
Well, I think he actually looked back on it, and
if he legitimately feels bad about it,
yeah, and he felt bad.
Then sure, yeah. But if he doesn't, and he's just doing that for, what do they call it? Just apologize to make it look good.
Save face.
Yeah, that's not the word I was looking for, but yes. Then yeah, instead of saving face, you just give the middle finger. All is well.
Yeah. So the point is, I think the thing for me is that SNL's done really offensive stuff before.
Yeah, they have.
They've had old videos that are offensive. I mean, if they're going to be true to what they're doing, shouldn't they cancel the show? If you're going to say that, hey, if anyone's ever done anything offensive, then we cancel them, then shouldn't they cancel their own show?
Yeah,
for old offensive jokes. They've done specifically offensive aids. And a lot of people are saying, so at the same time, the first ever Asian cast member was hired on SNL.
See, now they are trying to save face.
Well, no. This wasn't like now they hired the Asian guy after this.
Okay.
They were hired at the same time.
Oh, okay.
But, so, it's just, well, that is a little ironic.
Yeah, it is. It is pretty ironic.
Rob Schneider said, and I thought this was interesting, Dear Shane Gillis, as a former SNL cast member, I am sorry that you had the misfortune of being a cast member during this era of cultural unforgiveness, where comedic misfires are subject to the intolerable inquisition of those who never risk bombing on stage themselves. So, and I like that point because the people who are getting pissed off about this stuff don't understand that in comedy, you're coming up with material, you don't necessarily know what's funny until you say it.
Right, yeah.
And I heard something, this is a separate point, but I think it's a good point, is that someone was talking about Chris Rock's bit. Chris Rock has that famous bit, the difference between black people and N-words.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And it's like a classic comedy bit. Like, everyone knows that it's one of his best jokes. He said that it took him, like, months to get that to work, that a lot of people were offended. Now, could you imagine if Chris Rock was working out that bit, and then someone recorded it, and then played it, for all the news to see, and be like, oh, look at this, it's fucked up? It wasn't even developed yet. Like, when you're trying to do comedy, you're going to miss on some things, because all you're doing is just trying to be funny. And so that means you might push the line to be funny, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But you still have to acknowledge that the person is just trying to be funny. They're not trying to be offensive, they're trying to be funny.
Right.
If it requires offense, they might do that. But
yeah, well, a lot of it's the crowd, too. So you could be playing the wrong jokes to the wrong crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the right jokes to the wrong crowd.
Well, and by the way, and from what I understand, Shane, that podcast he was on, I think it was Legion of Skanks, but whatever podcast he was on, people were cracking up. I think they had an audience, and everyone was laughing. Like, it was killing what he was doing. It was funny. It fit the mood in the podcast.
Right.
So, as a comedian, he was kind of doing what he was supposed to. Like I said, I wouldn't have said the shit he was saying because it was like, it's hard to defend it because it's so over the top. He starts calling. I think he's calling someone a Jew chink or something. I can't remember what. Andrew Yang, the Democratic official or whatever, also tweeted out and said something like along the lines of, "Hey, why don't we actually? I'd love to actually have a conversation with him." The guy, he's an Asian guy. He's like, "I'd love to have a conversation with him and see what he really thinks instead of making an assumption off of some video that leaked where this guy's trying to be funny."
Yeah, well, and Rob Schneider's statement's actually really powerful. The people that never risked going on stage and bombing themselves.
Yeah.
Andrew Yang?
No, Rob Schneider.
Yeah.
There's all these people that judge comedians.
Right.
And they would never, they don't have any material, they've never been on stage,
Yeah, no. Yeah. No, I know you're talking about Rob Schneider. I was just wondering why Andrew Yang commented on it.
Well, because he's a public figure.
Well, he's probably trying to maybe he's doing it for the wrong thing, but it is also nice to see someone, especially him, who's
that is true.
Right now, he's one of the contenders of the Democratic Party.
I wonder how liked he is, because he's someone I'm going for, but either way, I think that's, I don't know, kind of interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, back to my point. Anybody that's in comedy, especially that does stand up, has an understanding outside of people that just watch it. And that understanding that it takes balls to get on stage and put any material out.
Yeah.
To the point where even the bomb garners respect within, even where I've been, we have open mic comedians. They respect people just for having the balls to get on stage. And that's kind of where a few of them are coming together for this guy, where it's like, look, he was playing to the crowd he was around.
Yeah.
And this was years ago. So it's not like, I don't know this for sure, but it's not like it was probably a regular part of his material he was doing everywhere.
Right.
I don't know, was this multiple podcasts that he did, or was it just one back?
It might have been multiple things. They're mostly, I think there's a couple of different things, but specifically what they were citing was from one podcast where he was making jokes about Asians. And there might have been some other thing where he made another Asian joke or something. But yeah.
But it's also surprising, I guess this is more a political soapbox statement, but most of the time people get away with Asian jokes.
Yeah.
They've just recently started cracking down as Asians have started getting offended because...
Right.
I mean, the envelope has been pushed on Asian racial jokes over the last few years because they've been seen like the last race you can make fun of.
Is that because they're crazy, rich, and smart, or whatever?
No,
but I know what he's saying. It's like you could make fun of Asians pretty strongly, like just a couple years ago.
Right.
It's probably been like you couldn't blatantly make fun of black people for a while.
Yeah.
But Asians, there was like a certain point where it was like you could kind of get away with it.
I mean, I don't want to get into the whole Oppression Olympics dynamic, but Asians were kind of outside of that for a while.
Okay.
And the main reason I know that is because I've seen Asians make statements about that. So.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I was going to say the Andrew Yang tweet. I took the time. There's several tweets actually. I took the time to listen. I took the time to watch and listen to Shane's work. He does not strike me as malignant or evil. He strikes me as a still-forming comedian from central Pennsylvania who made some terrible and insensitive jokes and comments. I think we have, as a society, become excessively punitive and vindictive concerning people's statements and expressions we disagree with or find offensive. I don't think people should be losing jobs unless it's truly beyond the pale and egregious. I understand those who have another point of view on this. Obviously, the folks at NBC are the real decision makers, but if I can forgive Shane as the guy he called a slur, I hope others can as well. I also hope Shane is open to learning. We're all human. We're all fallible. Because I think he specifically actually mentioned Andrew Yang in one of the things.
Oh, okay.
Something like I don't know if he was making fun of Andrew Yang or...
Right, okay. So that makes sense why he would... So I didn't know if Andrew Yang was trying to get attention or whatever.
Yeah.
Or what he was trying to do.
Well, probably. Maybe he is, and maybe he's just doing this to win votes or something because it makes me like him more. So it probably works.
Yeah,
but,
it is.
But he's making out. It's not like he's blowing hot air. He's making really good points, though.
He is making good points.
We're making judgments on people based off of these little snippets of things or statements they make. It's like, how can you judge a person? How could you judge a comedian on a podcast surrounded by other comedians trying to make each other laugh, and then judge them as their character or as a person?
Well, and how far back can you go to determine who that person is now?
Yeah, that's true. I was going to say it is years ago.
They're judging people in the past. John Wayne was getting cracked down on not too long ago. Did you guys see that?
Yeah, well, other things. I have a whole statement about movies from that era, but I'm going to save that because that's a whole other discussion. But, I mean, we saw this happen with Paula Deen, where they asked her in an interview, she goes, "Have you ever said the N-word?" She goes, "Maybe 20 years ago."
And then she gets fired.
Yeah, then she goes, "Oh, she might have said it in passing." It's like, well, she's probably not.
Have you ever said the N-word? Yeah, that's crazy.
It's especially like if you take someone who's like 80 years old, who was raised in a very racially biased era, and you go, "Well, did you ever say anything racist or do anything?" They were raised in a very racist era, so they would have had to come into an environment where they could realize that this wasn't okay and reform themselves.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and when you're in an environment where you're like this guy, you're telling jokes and you're being encouraged, you're going to keep going. And you're going to dig yourself a deeper hole.
Yeah.
You're not thinking, you know, well, this is going to look really bad.
Right.
Years from now.
Well, any other comments on that?
No. I was just curious, because it was Andrew Yang, and so I had this
Yang
issue.
Gang 2020?
Yeah. I would say I'm for the Yang Gang. That's really good.
I didn't make it up. That's that's their actual campaign thing.
Oh man, that's pretty good. I had this issue where there are some people that
it is their actual campaign. That actually is their campaign.
Yeah, I know.
Gang is what they call themselves.
I do believe you. Yeah.
Gang. Just so you're clear, I'm saying Yang Gang. I'm not being racist.
Right.
I know what you're saying, but I just don't totally. I haven't seen it, so I'm not sure. But
anyway, Yin Yang 2020. So
I was saying that sometimes I feel that no matter how big they are or whatever, sometimes I feel like if they aren't a part of it, they shouldn't comment on it. If that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
You mean politicians or just anyone?
I just mean anyone.
We're commenting on it. We're not part of it.
We are commenting on it, but we're also you're also reading articles in the news, and that's why we're commenting on it. But we're not. I mean, this is not necessarily directly about that. This is also indirectly about just people getting fired,
right,
and stuff like that. And so we're not necessarily talking about that specific thing. We are just talking about things that have to do with this is what I've said 30 years ago. Now you're going to fire me for it now. Just the injustice of.
Yeah, I mean, we had that episode we talked about the Liam Neeson thing and kind of how greedy it is and Kevin Hart.
Right, exactly.
Well, speaking of Asians, you guys see that South Park got banned in China?
Oh, it was beautiful.
Yeah. So did we watch that episode? I don't remember if you guys were here or just me and Eric had watched it, but it was episode 2 of the newest season of South Park. I think we're on season 23, and the episode was literally called. It's weird because the episode was called "Banned in China," but it was BAND China, and the whole idea is that, to recap the episode for people, basically Stan starts a band, and this record label is really interested in him, but instead of selling albums or basically they're just trying to instantly sell them to the market in China. Right. And it's a commentary about music and movies and everything. And what happens is they're going to make a biopic about it. And they're like trying to really be honest about what happened. And then the guy's saying like, ooh, you can't say that. You can't say this. And then it gets to the point where Stan is just trying to write basically the story. He's just trying to write music, and he literally has this Chinese censor guy behind him, like erasing everything he's writing down. And it's just this commentary about the movie industry mostly right now. But anyway, then they actually did get banned in China, which was ironic. And then in the next most recent episode, which just came out Wednesday, there's literally a line in it where Stan's dad, Randy, he decides he needs to get Tegrity back at Tegrity Farms, and there's just a part where blatantly in the episode they just say "fuck the Chinese government." They literally say it in the episode because Matt and Trey, I read it to you, but they released an apology.
Yeah.
And you were bummed out when I told you they had apologized.
Yeah, I was bummed out, and then I got excited again when you told me what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd watched the band in China with Evan actually.
Yeah, it was.
It was amazing. It was great.
It's beautiful.
It
Yeah, it was a good episode. It was a really good episode, generally.
I didn't realize that weed, according to the episode, is still illegal in China.
It's
Yeah.
still illegal in most places.
Well, that's what they said in the episode 300, in the 300th one or whatever, where they said.
Fuck the Chinese.
They said fuck the Chinese government, but the wife says, Randy, like the only reason they're buying, the only reason they're buying the weed is so they can plant it on protesters, so they'll get arrested. He's like, money's money, right? So this is the official apology to China from Trey Parker and Matt Stone. Like the NBA, we welcome the Chinese censors into our homes and into our hearts. We too love money more than freedom and democracy. Z doesn't look just like Winnie the Pooh at all. Tune into our 300th episode this Wednesday.
Oh man.
Well, and then they said, long live the great Communist Party of China. May the autumn sorghum harvest be bountiful. We good now, China? That's great.
What were we gonna say?
Just say I wish we could get a hashtag going. It's just called "fuck the Chinese government" because, I mean,
Yeah, I really should. I don't know much. I honestly can't comment too much because I don't know exactly much about what's politically going on other than are they maybe Evan, you probably know, but like, so I know for the last few years there's been a lot of like freedom slowly being stripped from Chinese people. Like the main thing that freaked me out was the whole concept where they have social credit.
Yeah, the social credits, which was a conspiracy theory years ago.
Yeah,
but
I mean, it wasn't that like 1984. Everyone keeps comparing it to 1984 because that's
Yeah.
like exactly the shit that was in there.
yeah,
They can. Oh, on the bus. I remember this in the subways. They were encouraging people to rat on their neighbors if anyone else is doing wrong to turn them in.
yeah.
Why?
Yeah, in China you have a social credit score, and you're actually affected by people you know that do stuff. If you associate with somebody, it lowers your social credit score. And it involves
That's
things
awful.
like anti-government sentiment or just random
Sharing memes about
ridic-
Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah, just random acts that they do.
Well, they
It's a social credit score?
yeah, and what it means is you literally could be like denied, like you might not be able to use the internet if your score's too low. You can't leave the country if your score's too low.
You can't live in certain areas.
Can't
too.
live in certain areas. You're limited. Yeah, like it's pretty insane.
You can't travel to certain parts of the country. And, this is completely real for anybody that hasn't read any of this.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And so, is that what all the protests are about? Is that stuff, or was there some catalyst recently?
I don't know if it's real. I mean, because the Chinese government has. Let's face it, they've been in dark shit for a long time, and there's been protests, and I mean, Tiananmen Square is a perfect example of, the fact that students have been raising up and trying to change things, and they always beat it down very forcefully.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's different from how North Korea does things, but still, it's like it's this whole illusion of freedom. And,
Yeah, because I thought the Chinese did.
I mean, there was actually a situation where there was a college that was going to display a copy of the Magna Carta, and then the Chinese government got nervous and decided that only certain people were going to get to view it because the Magna Carta is a document that is one of the earliest documents on human rights.
Mm-hmm.
So, what does that tell you? Like, well, we need to decide who we're going to allow to read this or view it. They're viewing it, not even reading the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's in a display case. So
Right.
that kind of tells you where their views are in human rights.
Mm-hmm.
What they're worried about. Because they've got billions of people to manage, and they all lose their fear overnight. That government's screwed.
Yeah.
So, But
Man.
I mean, it's a very iron-fisted country.
Well,
Wow.
I think was most of my laundry list. I know I just wanted to get through some of those big topics people were requesting that we mention, and we've had a few months off, so thought it was time to get on to them.
Yeah.
So a little bit of a house cleaning episode I thought was in order.
Mm-hmm.
I figured we could discuss what's going on, with everything.
Absolutely.
Working on some new promotional stuff soon. We've got business cards in the work.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much all of my list, so if you guys have anything else that you feel like we need to commentate on, or if you want to wrap it up.
Yeah. We do have some business cards, and we're trying to figure out some other marketing stuff. So then we're going to try and make it a lot easier for you guys to find us.
Yeah.
And we're going to be going live. I'm going to try by at least like December, so it won't be like too soon. But yeah. Do you have anything, Evan?
No, I mean that's all I got.
I will be talking about how.
Next week's topic.
Yeah, next week's topic is going to actually be about kind of a thing on the Joker and just how the media creates something from nothing.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. So,
well,
is that it? Yeah, we're
this
good.
this has been Three's a Podcast.
I'm legit. Go ahead.
This has been Three's a Podcast.
I'm the James.
I'm Pablupski.
Evan Rada.
I'll see you guys next time.
How erect were you?
I'm gonna take a piss.
Erect? I
It
wasn't
seemed like
erect.
you were fully erect that whole podcast. I didn't know my topics were that good.